Namaste. We begin today's English sessions with Sri Mohan Raman. Sri Mohan Raman is an Indian actor and writer. In 2017 and 2019, he was a jury member for the National Film Award for Best Writing on Cinema. Sri Raman is a film historian and writes for The Hindu. He has acted in 60 plus Tamil films and a number of Telugu and Hindi films. He has also acted in a fair share of TV shows. He is with us today to share his thoughts on movies and the freedom movement. Over to you, sir.
Good morning. Kaalai Vanakangal. Because we have brought English and Tamil together, I will cut short. I will not do the 1 hour because I know that other speakers for Tamil and English are waiting. Indian cinema and the freedom movement. December 28, 1885, 72 people met in Bombay. They formed what was then called the Indian National Union, later to be called the Indian National Congress. Exactly a decade later, 7th of July 1896, the first film show was held. So if you see the growth of both these, it's almost the same. At that time, we need to go back to 1920s, 1910, 1900. Since we have brought Tamil and English together, let me do that in my talk also. அப்போல்லாம் இது கிடையாது, டிவி நியூஸ் பேப்பரே ஒரு சென்டர்லேருந்து பப்ளிஷ் ஆகி மறுநாள் தான் மொஃசலுக்கெல்லாம் போய் சேரும். Not many had seen who our national leaders were, the people who were fighting for the freedom movement, etc. In fact, the Indian population, the vast majority of the Indian population got to see this one man called Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi only when a documentary on the funeral procession of Bal Gangadhar Tilak was screened all over the country. அப்பதான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் மக்களே இந்த ஆள் தான் காந்தியா அப்படின்னு பார்த்தாங்க. Let me go back in time. We all know of the story of Kappalottiya Tamilar, Va.O. Sidambaram Pillai. He was inspired to a great degree by Bal Gangadhar Tilak to start an Indian shipping company. Another man staying in Bombay was also inspired by Bal Gangadhar Tilak to start an Indian film company, and his name was Dada Saheb Phalke. In 1913, Tilak's newspaper Kesari used to carry articles on cinema. This is before Raja Harishchandra was released. So Bal Gangadhar Tilak was one of the first national leaders to heavily support the cause of films. He recognized the power of this media and how much it can reach the people. Lala Lajpat Rai was another gentleman who supported the film industry. எப்படின்னா சென்சர்ஷிப் வந்தது. British introduced censorship. Now பேசாதேன்னு ஒருத்தன் சொன்னாலே இவன் சொல்றவன் ஏதோ உறுத்துற மாதிரி சொல்றான்டான்னு அர்த்தம். சென்சர்ஷிப் ஏன் வருது? Why did the British want to censor this? They were afraid that these fellows were instigating the people. Let me make one thing very clear. The film industry is an industry. It is a business. It is not an instrument of social change. இதில் ஒருத்தன் பணம் போட்டான்னா நம்ம திருப்பூர் நண்பர் சொன்ன மாதிரி முதலீடு ஒருத்தர் செய்தால் அதுக்கு ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் வரணும்னு தான் பார்ப்பான். நாட்டுக்கு நல்லது நடக்கணும்னு பார்க்க மாட்டான். அது அவன் தொழில் இல்லை. அதை முதல்ல தெளிவாக புரிஞ்சுக்கணும். மோகன் ராமன் இன்று ஒரு நடிகர் அப்படின்னா என்ன ரோல் கொடுக்குறேன்னு எனக்கு கவலை இல்லையா, எனக்கு இந்த காசை கொடுத்துரு, அதுக்காக எல்லாத்தையும் செய்வியான்னு கேட்கலாம். அங்கே என்னுடைய கான்ஷியன்ஸ்னு ஒன்று உள்ளே வரும், என்னுடைய வேல்யூ சிஸ்டம்ஸ் இருக்கும், என்னுடைய பிலீஃப் சிஸ்டம்ஸ் இருக்கும். அதுக்கு ரொம்ப மாறாக இருந்துச்சுன்னா எப்பா இது வேண்டாம்ப்பா, இந்த வேஷம் எனக்கு வேண்டான்னு சொல்லிட்டு வெளியே வரலாம். பட் எனக்கு பதிலாக வேறு யாரோ ஒருத்தன் செய்ய போகிறான், அந்த படம் அந்த வேஷத்தோடு வெளியே வரப்போகுது. நான் செய்யலைங்கிறது தான் மிச்சமாகும். ஸோ தி இண்டஸ்ட்ரி இஸ் an industry to make money. However, we as an industry deal in what is called the flavor of the week. That which pleases people, we give. In the early 1900s, between say 1915 when Falke made his film to 1945 roughly, the flavor was independence. The flavor was Swarajya. So the film industry happily gave. இதுக்கெல்லாம் ஒருத்தர் காரணம் சார். இன்னைக்கு I do know, I realize that I'm talking to a lot of people who are very concerned about the state of affairs in the country, in Tamil Nadu, etc., etc. And a lot of people bemoan the fact that this film industry has got such a bloody stranglehold on Tamil Nadu politics, this, that, the other. You really want to know who's the reason for all this? Take a guess. I want you to give me a name. Shri Motilal Nehru. Way back in 1922, he wrote to a young congressman in Tamil Nadu called Satyamurthy, a firebrand orator, a legal brain, a patriot. He was a Swarajist, more than a congressman. He was a Swarajist. Satyamurthy was also a very avid dramatist. Satyamurthy was part of Pamal Samanda Mudaliyar's drama troupe called Suguna Vilas Sabha. I have seen photographs of Satyamurthy as Manohara, playing the hero's role in the play Manohara. So Satyamurthy received this letter from Motilal Nehru which said that the grassroots in Tamil Nadu and South have not yet woken up to the independence movement. It has reached the creamy layer, it has not percolated down. அடித்தள மக்களுக்கு போய் சேரலை, ஏதாவது பண்ணுன்னார். There is a side track to this, which is that Satyamurthy and Rajaji never got along. அது தனியாக வச்சுப்போம், just but keep that in the back of your mind. What Satyamurthy did was, he started using some of his drama people, friends in drama, whenever he went on a satyagraha, ஒரு ப்ரொட்டஸ்ட்டு, ஒரு பந்து, எதுக்கெல்லாம் போகும்போது கூட நடிகர்களை கூப்பிட்டு போனார். Then he saw that the crowds that turned up to watch these fellows was much higher than when he went alone or went only with the national leaders or politicians. நம்ம ஊரில் தான். திருப்பூர் எக்கனாமிக்ஸை பற்றி பேசணுன்னா கூட்டம் கம்மியாக இருக்கும். இதே நான் சில்க் ஸ்மிதா வரலாறுன்னு சொன்னால் இந்த அரங்கமே நிரம்பி வழியும். இது வந்து இது ரியாலிட்டி சார். we have to face reality. ஐயோ இப்படி இல்லையே 1934லன்னா அப்படி இல்லை, இது 2022 இதுதான். Be firmly rooted to reality. He found that whenever he went with his colleagues, the crowd increased. பார்த்தாரு, இது நல்லா இருக்கே, நாடக பசங்க எல்லாம் நம்ம பசங்க, எல்லாத்தையும் இழுத்தார். The earliest people to enter were people like M.M. Chidambaranathan, M.V. Mani, K.S. Ananthanarayanar Bhagavathar, S.V. Subbaya Bhagavathar, not the later Subbaya, அப்போ ஒரு S.V. Subbaya இருந்தார், M.S. Nadaraja Pillai. The coup was when he got K.B. Sundarambal to come with him and sing before every speech of his. அவர் தேர்தல் பிரசாரம் பண்ண போறார்னா ஒரு half an hourக்கு சுந்தரம்மாவை she used to sing before his speeches. Crowds increased. He also got the ever silk wearing M.K. Tyagaraja Bhagavathar to don the kadar. So these two people, in fact there is a 78 RPM record with a Satyamurthy speech on one side and a Sundarambal song on the other side. It is there. It is part of Gramophone Company of India's archives. I have seen the record. 78 RPM. 78 தெரியுமில்ல? I don't know how many of you remember. There used to be a black disc. கையில் சுற்றிட்டு நீடில் மாற்றி வைக்கணும். N.S. Krishnan was a very big supporter. Sundarambal had such a great regard for Satyamurthy that at one stage when Satyamurthy did not have a place to live, Satyamurthy's house in Satyamurthy Street, so named, is a house which was bought by Sundarambal and gifted to him. She was so deeply touched by his dedication to the nation. So Satyamurthy took his band of actors. Not many know. The first founder president of the South Indian Film Chamber of Commerce was Sri S. Satyamurthy. He was actively involved in filmmaking because he realized the power of this media. இதை வச்சு நாட்டாளலாம். புள்ளியார் சுழி போட்டது மோத்திலால் நேரு and Satyamurthy. Now, Satyamurthy sadly passed away. The other Congress leaders at that time in Tamil Nadu, most notably, you can almost say my tata, Rajaji, C. Rajagopalachari. He was anti-cinema. Kootadi pasanga. What happens to this bunch of actors who have all suddenly jumped into nationalism and freedom and politics? They were left without a patron. So much so, at that time, moved in E.V. Ramsamy and C.N. Annadurai. Periyarum Annavum politically vanda kalam 48, 49, 50. N.S. Krishnan lendu all the actors who were strong supporters. M.G. Ramachandran was a khadi wearing congressman. All of them left this and joined this new movement where they said Vanga. This is the birth of the cinema political link in Tamil Nadu, which in a way has a bearing to the freedom movement. I'm going to talk to you about one national leader who was the first film pirate. he smuggled a film into India, had an illegal show in a theatre. The great Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Patel was already a film supporter because in 1939 there was a film called Brandichi Batli. Brandichi Batli was about the bad effects of alcohol. And Patel was so moved when he saw this, he called the producer and said, I want to talk about this film. So producer was a clever fellow. He brought a camera and said, Patel ji, ab abhi baat kijiye. So Patel spoke and this fellow recorded it and added this as literally like a forward to a book. He added Patel's comments on the film and then the film was screened all over India. In fact, Patel by 1942 got so involved with the films that he said that he is going to become a film producer. In 1942, in a published Film India interview, these are the words of Sardar, and I'm quoting him. And when we become free, 1942, and when we become free, we will add a reel of the Congress session in which the Congress will be dissolved because its function would have ended. Pannama uttatananga. I am quoting Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in a Baburao Patel's Film India interview 1942. You may go and check. However, post-independence, Patel Sahab went on to officially become a producer of a film which was the subject matter which I am talking about. A film on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. The Azad Hind Fauj was training and fighting in Rangoon, Yangon. One B.C. Mehta knew that the days in Yangon were numbered, and he, along with a few others, had recorded the activities of Bose, the training of the army people, the fighting, and the women swing, all of that he had recorded. He wanted support from the leaders in India, and the one way to get support is to come and show them what they are doing there. He had recorded it. The British got wind of this fact and were searching for this film. They smuggled the film in a small boat. The film cans were mixed with kitchen utensils. Some of them were hidden inside various vessels. It was brought to Bombay. Sardar Patel went to the ship, not ship, I shouldn't even call it a ship, boat, whatever you want to call it, took the cans, without the knowledge of the police, smuggled it all the way from Bombay to Delhi. In Delhi, he meets Pandit Nehru and says, I've got the film, let's see it. So they call up one Mr. Rajeshwar Dayal of the Regal Theatres in Connaught Place. Dayalji was basically a supporter, a sympathizer of our freedom movement. But he is told, he said, okay, I'll do one thing, I'll close one night show. How many of you? And Pandit Nehru said, no, just me and my family. In reality, the entire Congress working committee came, the whole theatre was full, and they watched this moving documentary on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. This charged up the whole atmosphere, and everybody decided, though as a body Congress may not have supported, individually they all sent their support to Netaji. However, the Deputy Commissioner of Delhi, one Mr. Label, ICS, came to know of such a film show being held. Smuggled film being shown illegally. he immediately sent a notice of closure to the Regal Theatre in Connaught Place. They didn't know what to do. Again, they rushed back here and there, and some of the Congress people knew conversing Bedi, who was a magistrate there, who was himself a sympathizer of the freedom movement. So he said, no, don't worry, this case will come before me, I will handle it. So the case was registered, Regal Cinema versus Government of India versus Regal Cinema. So our man first day took the hearing, granted bail to the owners of Regal and adjourned the case. The case was adjourned to post August 15, 1947. Our gentleman from Tirupur was mentioning Vaida, Yatana Vaida. This is one of the cases where an adjournment was of great use and help to the country. So it's not that all adjournments by court are bad. Some of them can do us good. One country's national anthem is a film song. Yes, sir. Hamara Bharat. In Calcutta in 1960s, a Bimal Roy festival was held. Halfway through the cinema, the entire audience got up because the song being played was Rabindranath Tagore's Jana Gana Mana. This is the film Udmar Phate, 1944. When its Hindi version Hamrahi came a year later, 1945, it too had the song Jana Gana Mana as a background song, a montage song, where it shows people working, farmers farming, workers working, to indicate the glory of Bharat. Because it covers, the song in the first phrase covers the entire nation. If you see, just see, what was Orissa called? You just see, Kalinga. You just see, Punjab, Sindh, Gujarat, Maratha, Dravida, Utkala, Vanga. Like a necklace, he has described the country. Then, of course, Vindhya, Himachal, Yamuna, Ganga. That's it. So the Indian national anthem has already come in a film before it was adopted as the national anthem by the country. Bimal Roy had the great credit of doing it. I think I am on time. In 1939, one K. Subramaniam from Madras, actually from Tanjore district but settled in Madras, made a film called Tyaga Bhumi. This was to be shown in Gaiety Theatre, which was there till about 10 years ago. The distributor of the film was one magazine owner, later to become a great film mogul himself, S.S. Vasan. This film was a huge controversy because it attacked everything that was considered holy, sacred, don't touch. The film starts with a Brahmin priest admitting the entire village into the temple because the village is getting flooded. The priest is excommunicated because he admitted Achut people into the temple. And he justifies his stand and says, if this is God, then I don't want this God. And he goes back to the city with his daughter, who gets married to a lout. That fellow deserts her. It goes to case, she then goes to Bombay, makes it big in life, comes back literally like a multi-millionaire. When this estranged husband comes running back and says, I will live with you, she says, Vellapada, baar jao. He files a case saying, I need restitution of marriage, conjugal rights, for which she comes up in court and makes a statement. You have all heard of only this fellow, the man giving this alimony. I am willing to give him alimony. I don't want to live with him, I'll give him. How much he wants every month, I'll give him. But he cannot claim to be my husband. This created such a sensation that the traditionals in this area where we are living, Mylapore, the traditionalists here and in Tanjore excommunicated K. Subramaniam. Jati Prashtam. இதெல்லாம் எப்படி சொல்லலாம் அவர் அதுவும் சினிமாவில் போய். But he didn't bother. The peak was that this lady, multimillionaire lady, gives up everything to the cause of the freedom movement, and there's a famous song which says, Desa Sevai Seyya Varir. Exhorting people to come out on the streets, and the whole thing is shot in the streets of Madras. If you happen to get a copy of the film, see it if you want to see Paris Corner with its trams and this and that, 1938, 1939. If you want to see Madras of 1938-39, that's a brilliant film. You won't recognize a single place. Santhomla our veedu vandu kaadu mari irukku. Today there's not a single tree there. It's like a forest. So the British thought this film is going to Tamil Nadu was way out of this. They had problems up north with Gandhi, Patel, Bose, everybody. They thought this was a safer area. And if these guys are going to get instigated here, we'll have a problem. So they immediately went and banned the film. Fortunately, the ban order was there. The order did not reach the theatre manager. S.S. Vasan moves into the theatre and says, open the theatre. Allow people, everybody to come in. Quickly the word went around that this film is going to be banned. So a huge crowd of a couple of thousands gathered outside Gaiety Theatre, preventing the police from entering the theatre and serving the ban order. In the meanwhile, our man kept showing the film. Free up, everybody watch, you watch. From outside you want to see. So much so that there was a lathi charge, followed by a firing, and sadly a gentleman died. So this kind of support was given to the freedom movement by filmmakers up north, down south. Now, I'd like to close with some songs. Now, our fellows are clever. The film directors and producers are extremely clever. They will hide the best of things very subtly. But before that, on September 11th, 1928, a blanket ban was placed on all Bharatiyar songs. Satyamurthy was the one who fought for it, both in the Legislative Council in which he was a member and later in court. It was Satyamurthy who fought, along with a few others, to get the ban lifted. The ban was lifted, but each song was subject to censorship if and when needed. Blanket ban was lifted. In 1935, T.K. Shanmugam wanted to use several of these songs for his play called Desha Bhakti. Desha Bhakti. What more do you need as a title? I worship my mother. I worship my motherland. In fact, this drama was even witnessed by Nehru. Songs were added in a film just for effect. January 1947, A.V. Meyyappan releases Naam Iruvar, in which the song Aduvome Palli Paduvome ஆனந்த சுதந்திரம் பெற்று விட்டோம் என்று. சுதந்திரம் வரல, பட் பாடிட்டார் குமாரி கமலா. MKT Bhagavathar, MK Tyagaraja Bhagavathar, the superstar, the first Indian film superstar. Now people up north, I know there are a few people, I thought I saw Ratan Shardaji somewhere. I know some of my friends from up north are here. There is this constant feeling that Indian film industry means Bollywood. The Indian film industry is actually an Indian film industry. There are filmmakers of extraordinary talent in West Bengal and Assam and Tripura and Gujarat, Karnataka, Andhra, Kerala. Bollywood barely produces 30% of the number of films that are made in India. Rest is made here. In fact, the 4 southern states contribute to close to 55% of the number of films made. But their market is so large that those 30% films contributes 70% revenue. MK Tyagaraja Bhagavathar is verily the first Indian superstar. And he, in 1936, in a film called Satyaseelan, sang a song, Sollu Papa, Sudhandiram Pera Vali Sollu Papa. This was banned because he says, tell me child, tell me the way to get independence, Sudhandiram. Because it was banned, they changed the word Sudhandiram to Sandosham. So even today you will see him uttering Sudhandiram, but the audio will say Sandosham. There were many songs in many films. Padma Jyoti 1937, Dharma Patni 1935, on Chakra, on Gandhi's Chakra, Charka. Pati Bhakti 1936. There was a film called Punjab Kesari in 1938 which had a song Vande Mataram. H.M. Reddy's Matrubhumi had TV Kumudini, the famous star, sing Annayin Kalil Vilango. Should my mother's feet be chained up? Another song called Bharata Desam. And the third song was Namadu Janma Bhumi. These are all direct hits. But there were songs so disguised in their content. You have all heard of the story of Lord Kartikeya, Muruga. There was a movie in 1933 called Valli Thirumanam. And Valli is standing at the fields. Her duty is to drive all these crows and birds which come to eat the grain. So she sings a song. Vellai kokke po po, white crane, go go. Everybody knew whom she was meaning. Vellai kokke po po. But they couldn't do anything censored. They said, no, see, we are showing the birds there. So she's shouting at the birds only. In the same film, Lord Muruga, disguised as a bangle seller, will come wanting to sell bangles. And the song he sings is Valayal Vangalayo, Swadeshi Valayal Vangalayo. Muruganukku Swadeshikku enga sir sambandham? At the slightest given opportunity, our producers and directors brought in the subtle message of freedom. T.P. Rajalakshmi sang Ratinamam Gandhi Kai Banamam by Madurai Bhaskaradas. Several film producers, directors all over India, my talk is just a teaser trailer. And if you are really keen, there's a very lovely book by Mr. Kaul, T.P. Kaul, on the contribution of the film industry, where he has done an extensive study, including Assamese film producers and Kannada film producers, Malayalam film producers, etc., all of whom contributed to the Indian freedom movement in the form of publicizing to people this. After 75 years, I think we need more K. Subramaniams. We need more Bimal Roys. We need more writers like K. Abbas, so many others. Because this industry can be used like a knife. It can be used as a surgeon's scalpel, or it can be used to kill. A very powerful weapon. Extremely powerful weapon. That is the danger with this. And that is the danger with any media, whether you call it television or press or. So we need to play it very carefully. I'd like to thank Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav's organizers for giving me this time. I have taken only half an hour, sir. I could have gone on. This is a topic close to my heart. But let me end by saying, not everybody in the film industry is bad. Not everybody in the film industry is anti-national. We did have that great man, Sivaji Ganeshan, say there are two eyes. The two eyes are, one is my dharma, my religion, Anmigam, and the other is my nation. He was the guy who brought to us what Kattabomman would have looked like, what Kapalotiya Tamilan would have looked like. Otherwise, the Tamil audience would have been completely bereft of. He brought to us Bhagat Singh, Azad, Chandrasekhar Azad, so many historical characters. We have very, very, very eminent people like my guru, K. Balachandar, who was always nation first and everything else next. Let's help foster more such talent, encourage more such good films. Bad films will always be there. And when I say bad, I don't mean technically or anything. It's just that the message that they carry is not exactly the most suitable for society. But then who are you and I to judge what is suitable for society? Society has to judge by itself. It will. Nothing bad will ever go on forever. And for that we have had enough proof in this country. Nothing lasts. Though sometimes people like Patel wanted certain things closed way back in 47, it took a long time. Thank you very much. Thank you all. God bless you. Are there any, do you have a question or a comment? If it's a question, I'll answer. If it's a comment, then you'll have to speak to the organizers and come and speak. Yes, sir. 1 minute, sir. 1 minute, sir. This gentleman put his hand up first. Cholungo. Sir, to be honest, nobody, none of us mortals, ordinary. Every film did it. Why only Tamil films? Look at the Telugu films of those days. Look at Prithviraj Kapoor acting as, Akbar didn't wear a Mughal costume. See, my point is this. For most of us, anything divine, anything this thing, they all went, reference was Raja Ravi Verma's paintings. If you see, backdrops. Do we know whether these kings actually had these huge robes? Do we know if they wore chunks of jewelry? The only evidence available for 1400s is at the Tanjavur Big Temple paintings. There is no, this was the easiest thing was to ape the West. They looked at a costume. What was Stuart Granger wearing in Scaramouche? Take it, give it to MGR. What is Errol Flynn wearing here? Take it, give it to Shivaji. Manohara, enna pannar Shivaji? Why only MGR? I'll never blame only MGR. MGR was actually a visionary. Politically speaking, in a sense, he was visionary because he came from the backdrop of the DK, which was anti-God, anti-Hindi, anti-everything, and he removed the stigma. He said, no, it's okay. If you want to go to God, go to temple, please go. Nothing wrong. He went and remade Yadon Ki Barat. Nothing wrong in taking Hindi. So that hard anti-attitude, he softened. Yes. சிவாஜி சாரே ஒரு ஸ்டேஜுக்கு அப்புறம் எங்கே தேசியம் பேசினார்? ஏன்? மார்க்கெட் சார். when everybody wants mangoes, why should I take coconuts? நாடு என்ன ஆகுதுன்னு நாடை கேட்கணும். நான் வியாபாரத்துக்கு இல்லையா வந்திருக்கிறேன் சுவாமி. நாடு என்ன ஆகுதுன்னு நாட்டு மக்களை கேட்கணும் சார். நான் வியாபாரத்துக்கு வந்திருக்கேன். I opened by saying cinema is not a tool for social change. என்ன சார்? அது என்ன பண்ணாங்கன்னா, if they've used the tool to their advantage, it's up to them. Yes. So then don't blame them. Blame the others who did not. I remember the words of Cho Ramsamy, who said, Makkal Muttal. அது என்ன கேட்காதீங்க சார். I am not a social scientist. I am a historian who reports what is history of Indian cinema. The need for it, the necessity for it, is all to be decided by you and me as citizens of the country. If we don't, we don't. We pay the price. Somebody wrongly communicates but correctly does the job. We bear the result of it. The 2014 communication by Modi ji was so accurate that the Congress did not have an answer. They kept talking about the free grains they gave. They kept talking about the women's empowerment they did. Our gentleman here said, what I am going to do. That impressed the nation. A change was brought. So your exercise in communication has to be twofold. What the audience wants and what is in their mind, what they expect. Give it and deliver it perfectly. You do the good job.
Request audience, sir.
Is it Indian film industry and freedom struggle? Any question on that topic?
Sir, we request audience. We are running out of time, sir, with the other speakers.
Yeah, one more question, that's all, sir. Gentlemen, yes. நான் சொல்லி எப்படி? வரட்டும் சார், நல்லது சார். தட் நிறைய லாபம் வருது நீங்கள் தான் சொல்கிறீங்க சார். பாகுபலி அவர் தெலுங்கில் எடுத்து ஃபுல் பணத்தை ரியலைஸ் பண்ணிட்டார் சார். இங்கே வரதெல்லாம் அவருக்கு ப்ளஸ் லாபம். அதுதான் சார் சொல்கிறேன். அவர் தெலுங்குலேயும் ஹிந்திலையும் விற்றதுலேயும் அவர் மொத்த காசையும் வந்துடுச்சு. அவருக்கு போட்ட முதலீடு வந்துடுச்சு. தமிழ்நாட்டிலையும் கர்நாடகாலையும் கேரளாலையும் வர்றது அவருக்கு அடிஷ்னல் லாபம் தான். வேற நான் தமிழை மட்டும் நம்பி ஒரு படத்தை எடுத்தேன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, அதுவும் ஒரு நீங்கள் சொல்கிற மாதிரி தெய்வீகத்தையும் இதையும் நம்பி ஆடியன்ஸ் வரலன்னா நான் பெரிய ரிஸ்க் வாங்குவேன். பிகாஸ் தி காஸ்ட் ஆஃப் ப்ரொடக்ஷன் ஃபார் அ ஹிஸ்டாரிக்கல் ஆர் அ மித்தாலஜிக்கல் ஃபிலிம் வில் ரன் இன் டு ஹண்ட்ரட்ஸ் ஆஃப் க்ரோர்ஸ். ஒரே இதில் அடி வாங்கிடுவேன். தட் இஸ் வை தேர் ஆர் நோ இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் ஃபிலிம் ப்ரொடியூசர்ஸ். எவ்வளோ ஒரு சத்யா மூவிஸுக்கும் ஒரு சத்யஜோதி ஃபிலிம்ஸுக்கும் ஏவிஎம்மே படம் எடுக்கலையே இப்போது. ஏன்னா ஒரு படங்கிறது 150 கோடி. ஒரே அடியில் மொத்தமாக 70 வருஷமாக செட்டியார் சம்பாதிச்சு வச்ச சொத்து அத்தனையும் போயிடும். ஸோ நோபடி வாண்ட்ஸ் டு டேக் அ ரிஸ்க். ஏதோ சோஷியலாக சின்னதாக 5 கோடி 10 கோடியில் ஒரு இதுக்குள்ளே வச்சுக்கின்னு ஆலுமா டோலுமான்னு பாடிட்டு போயிடலான்றாங்க. ரைட்டா தப்பான்னு தெரியாது.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sri Mohan, for your views on the role and impact of cinema in the Indian freedom movement and giving us light on the relation between politics and cinema. I now call upon Sri Srinath, eminent advocate, to felicitate Sri Mohan Ram. Now, Mr. Jalandhar, General Secretary of the Hindu Democratic Front, will also felicitate Sri Mohan.